Welcome to the world of Victoria Gray, where your imagination is all we need. Hi, I'm Victoria Gray. I began my sewing career at the tender age of 10. My dear Aunt Olive Gray was a milliner and also a tailor and made me a stunning Barbie doll dress, and I thought, oh, I could do that too. So I laid my Barbie doll out on fabric and just cut around the doll, the size of the doll, hand stitched it together. It was horrible, but it was my first item. I then took classes and she taught me so many different things. So I finally came to 2004, and I was the director of a tea guild. And as the director of the tea guild here in St. Louis, Missouri, I was asked by the founder out of Florida, would I, or would any director, wear at least a hat to every tea that we put together, that I would put together? I said, sure. So I thought, well, if I could make a hat, which I did this hat, I thought, well, maybe I can make some dresses. So I started making a few pieces. I made a blouse and a skirt, and then at the same time, I owned an antique store, also in St. Louis, and I acquired through one of my estate sales, I handle estate sales too, I acquired a number of hankies. This dress that I have on is actually made out of 31 hankies. It truly is. I've overlapped them so you can see the design on the entire dress. And in that antique store, I hung it up on the back wall behind the counter, and in walked one of my dear friends who owned a store years ago called Repeat Performance, and she used to rent to the theatrical groups around St. Louis. She saw this dress and she said, where did you get that vintage dress? I said, well, I made it. She said, how could you have made it? Because vintage is vintage. And I said, well, it's vintage hankies. She was excited. Well, from this dress stemmed a number of other items because we had a tea every month. Well, by the end of 2004, I believe it was the last part of November, the fashion editor of the Post-Dispatch found out about my designs, and she asked me if would I create a fashion show, and she gave me a 6-week span to February the 14th of 2005. And I thought, oh my goodness, I have to make more pieces. So I made another dozen ensembles. I made parasols and more hats, and I had to also find a location. So one of the large Victorian mansions downtown said that I could do a show there. We had to sell out. We totally sold out. And here's one of the parasols I brought with me. I periodically will volunteer at the shop around the corner, which is a division of the Missouri Botanical Gardens. And while doing that, this parasol came in. It was falling apart. They couldn't sell it. So the gentleman said, well, since you're doing so much work on our computers for us, we're going to give that to you. So I took off all the old fabric and I recreated a new top out of I pinched every pleat on here, and so I now have a beautiful parasol to show at my shows. And this is from the 1850s, 1860s. I've also made a black one, I've made a white one, made a purple one, and I made purple because from that first fashion show I wound up doing another 100 shows, and I've done a number of shows for red hatters. Here's one red hat that I embellished, and this is just a store-bought hat that I embellished. I also made a purse out of hankies and added the beads to the base and fringe around the outside. To go with this dress that I made out of, I want to say there's about 50 hankies here. I dyed them first purple, then I designed this empire waist dress. You can see how I overlapped the seams so you can see all the details of the hanky. Here we have a beautiful hanky on this side, one on this side. They don't quite match, but they look beautiful together. I added the beads, added the cape on the back, added a bit of fringe, and a red slip is underneath. And there you have a new dress. People are amazed that I can make clothing out of these particular types of styles. I've also made a hat. This was one of my first hats. I made this out of a tablecloth that I had. I just folded it over. I didn't cut it at all. I stitched it inside to hold it in place, and I draped it. I created drapes here. And you know the old shoe clips that we used to have on our shoes? Well, not me, but before my time, I acquired a number of those out of doing estate sales, and I just applied them to the hat. That goes with different dresses that I have. I think we're going to have a problem. And it can also go with this dress here. This skirt is actually Irish crocheted lace. This piece was in a mound of laces that I bought from an estate sale, and they were very, very dirty and dingy. When I washed it, I realized that this has a split in the back and it's an empire skirt. So I just applied lace curtains. I turned this into the bodice of this and added sleeves with the ruffle. I also made another hat to go with it because it kind of looks like a wedding ensemble. So I made a hat to denote wedding, the wedding time period, added beading or whatever, an ostrich feather, which you could say I have ostrich feathers in a lot of my hats. That's what they had years ago. I also have a little hat here, which my dear father, who's 87, his name is Victor, I'm named after him. I wore this to his house just to show him what I had. This is made out of one curtain valance, and I strategically placed it so that all the beads that were on the valance would show in a true 1920 fashion. Added a rosette, and here I have a hat. And if you'd like to know more about me, from all these shows that I did stemmed a book that I wrote called Victoria Gray Unfolded. Imagine that. It's because I have to unfold the linens, I have to unfold the curtains or whatever it is, and then I make something out of it. Now, you can see in the very first part of the book, I was speaking by the time I was 8 months old. I'm gesturing in this picture, and it goes to speak of what I did through my life, all the different pieces of clothing that I've made throughout the couple years that I wrote this book. And then you would receive a free pattern for this really cute camisole, which is made out of men's hankies. And that's part of the package of the book, and you'll love wearing this. If you're into vintage, you'll love it. It's very easy to make, doesn't take a long time at all. Just a little lace, cut here, cut there, sew it together just like I've stated, and you'll have a beautiful piece. You can wear it for the summer or wear it with your vintage clothing. So the entire book is just $19.95. That includes shipping. You can click on the link and or go to my website, Victoria Gray Designs, that's plural.com, and purchase the book. I would love to hear from you. Place comments.